Hey guys, this is Theo Joe Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to enable the most privacy settings you can in Windows 10 so that you can make it so Microsoft collects as little data as possible, if any at all. So I want to start off by saying, if you really want the maximum privacy settings, you probably want to use a local account as opposed to a Microsoft account to log in. But the only downside with that is you can't use Cortana with a local account. So if you want to use Cortana and use all the features with that, you're going to need a Microsoft account to log in, and there are definitely some downsides to that in terms of privacy, because to use Cortana, it has to collect data about what you're typing, what you're using, to make it so it understands what you're asking for, such as where you're located, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't want Cortana, then definitely use a local account to log in for maximum privacy settings. Now, either way, what you want to do when you first install Windows, if possible, is you not use the express settings and instead use customized settings, and that way you can change these settings before you even get into Windows, but I'm going to assume that you want to change these afterwards, and that's okay. So we're going to start off in the privacy panel. Now here we get pretty much the meat and potatoes of all the privacy settings, but there are some elsewhere that I'll show you. And the first thing you probably want to do is disable using advertising ID. I don't really know which partners they're using and what they're really using the data for, so I'm going to definitely turn that off. Smart screen filter, apparently that's for checking viruses and stuff like that. That might actually be useful, but if you want to, you can disable that if you're really privacy conscious. This one's off already for me, possibly because it's a local account, but if it's on for you, you might want to turn that off. And then let websites use locally relevant content. If you are just speaking like English or a typical language and you're not really changing languages or something like that, there's probably no need for this. Websites can usually tell where you are anyway. So that's good for this panel. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is go to this link, which is going to take you to the Microsoft website, actually, not even Windows, and then you want to choose to turn off personalized ads in the browser. If you're on a Microsoft account, you can also turn off personalized ads wherever you use your Microsoft account, but here you want to probably turn off the ad personalization. And then next, we're going to go to feedback and diagnostics. Automatically, Windows is going to ask you for feedback. I'm going to hit never for that. And then diagnostic and usage data, I think by default it's on full. And you want to turn this on to basic. I believe the only way to turn that off completely, unfortunately, is if you have an enterprise version of Windows 10. I have Windows Pro, and it only lets you go down to basic, but that's as good as we're going to get at this point. Then we're going to go to other devices, and this feature allows you to sync with stuff that you don't really pair with your PC. So if you don't use anything like beacons, or you don't really know what you would use this for, it's probably best to just turn it off, and you can always turn it on later. And then Microsoft Phone Companion, I don't even have a Microsoft Windows Phone, so I'm just going to turn that off as well. And then you go to messaging, and if you don't have a Windows Phone or anything like that, or if you do, you let apps read or send messages, you can turn that off. That might actually be useful if you actually use apps that require you to send messages and that kind of stuff, but I don't need that. I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to turn it off. And then, of course, you can go through these. Let apps access my calendar. I'm actually using the calendar, so I'm going to keep that on. Then you can go through this if you want apps to be able to access your contacts or not, account info, whether or not you want apps to be able to access your name, picture, and account info. That's totally up to you as well. If you're not really using apps, then you probably want to go and turn that off. Then we get to speech, inking, and typing, and this is probably what you definitely want to turn off if you're not going to be using Cortana, or if you're on a local account, because this collects most of your data. So definitely turn that off if you're really conscious about your privacy, but you're not going to be able to turn that off if you want to use Cortana, because it's required to collect the data to make it so it can actually, give you information that's relevant to you. Otherwise, it would be useless. So this is a required part of Cortana, but if you don't want to use it, then you can turn that off. And then location, if you are not going to be using that many location services, you can, of course, turn that off as well. So now let's move on to Wi-Fi. Now, you want to go to the Wi-Fi panel and then manage Wi-Fi settings. And I definitely suggest turning off open hotspots, because that means it's just going to connect you to stuff that you don't even ask to be connected to. And I am not a fan of open hotspots at all. So I would just completely turn that off. You don't know which hotspots are compromised or anything like that. And also, you probably want to turn off networks shared by contacts. That means you can share with friends your password without having to actually give them your password. But, you know, I don't know how that's really going to be used. I don't think I'm going to use that, so I'm going to turn that off as well. And then if you don't have Cortana enabled already, when this comes up, you can just hit not interested and then I'm sure. And then that should disable it. And it's just going to show you some other information like that. And also in the settings, once you click in here, this little panel pops up on the left, and you can go to the settings for Cortana and make sure that's off. You can say manage what Cortana knows about me in the cloud, search online and include web results. You can turn that off as well. And then other privacy settings, we already went through that. So that is pretty much going to cover it, I think. If you guys have any other questions, you can let me know in the comments section or tell other people about other settings you found. These are just pretty much all the ones I know about. I think this covers pretty much all the bases. If you guys found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and you can also check out some other videos on the right hand side. Either click them, or the same links will be in the description if you're on a phone. Also, be sure to subscribe. I try to make new videos 3 times a week, so it should be worth it. I'll look forward to hearing from you guys either in the comments section or on Twitter. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Have a good one.